Hey everybody, this video is part of our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. You can find that on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes. You can pretty much find it anywhere, so we don't care where you listen. Just stick around and check it out.
And Mark, speaking of the Raiders, we are going to talk about the Oakland Raiders, almost the Las Vegas Raiders, but for right now, they are still the Oakland Raiders. Just win, baby! That's exactly what they did last year. That's exactly what they did. Well, hey, they made the playoffs.
Yeah,
I'll give it to them.
And then they lost
for the longest time. We've had the joke here of get 8 wins and we'll have a parade in Oakland. I hope you guys paraded it up this year because you guys had more. You guys had more than 8 wins. And heading into this year, obviously the biggest question we're going to talk about with them is Derek Carr coming back. A, from the injury. B, is he going to get an extension? Those are the big questions with him. Some of the guys they got coming in from free agency, you got Jelani Jenkins, who's following me on Twitter. Shout out to Jelani Jenkins. Jared Cook coming over from the Green Bay Packers. Cordell Patterson coming over from my Minnesota Vikings. Some guys who are leaving, though. They got a few of them. DJ Hayden no longer there. Stacey McGee no longer there. Latavius Murray going to my Vikings. That's a perfect trade with Cordell Patterson. Malcolm Smith. We've got Watson who's gone. Darren Bates who's gone. Nate Allen who's gone. And to me, where I want to start this is let's start with Derek Carr.
All right.
Because he's the centerpiece. Coming back from the injury that he had last year, many have said if he would have never gotten injured, this Raider team could have probably made a push in the playoffs and would have made things more interesting than they ended up doing in the playoffs. I'm going to ask you, what happens this year with Derek Carr coming back from that? And do we see this year where Derek Carr gets an extension this offseason before the season starts?
So I think that he will obviously come back strong. There's so many pieces to this offense, and this was one of the best running games, one of the better passing games. And
I forgot Marshawn Lynch.
Yep.
So there, I forgot about that one.
That's a big one, hard to forget. So there's so much going on here, and obviously that kind of swap at running back. You expect them to keep going forward, keep going strong. Marshawn Lynch has to, I guess, get back into football. I don't want to say back into football shape because someone's going to get mad at me. But get back used to playing football. He's not Eddie Lacy.
He doesn't have to take the P90X challenge again.
Yeah, right? But he's got to get back used to playing football. So there's so many things to like about the Oakland Raiders. I definitely expect Derek Carr to have a great season. The only other thing that I will kind of add to this, I don't necessarily know that he gets that extension done mid-year or anything like that, but he's going to easily get it done as soon as there's the opportunity for them in the offseason. They're not going to let this kid, get out into the open waters.
Walk anywhere.
And exactly, go anywhere. And I don't think he wants to go anywhere. He wants to do this for will soon be Las Vegas.
Well, yeah, Las Vegas now. Like, the Raiders are his team, and to me, the Raiders, they're that team like I mentioned during the Bronco segment. I mean, Bronco fans probably got mad at me that I was mentioning the Raiders so much during their segment of our preview, but this is a team to me that is just heading on the upcline. A word I love to use. They're just heading on that upcline.
A word.
A word that I like to use, but they've got the Derek Carr, obviously, at the center of the offense. I mean, they had Latavius Murray. He leaves. They get Marshawn Lynch, who is obviously even if not a little bit better replacement in how you see that happening. You have the 1-2 punch at wide receiver with Crabtree and Cooper. They add Cordell Patterson. He can be a nice kind of 3-4 guy, but really let's use him in the return game and let him help us out there as well. And then getting Jared Cook made the big catch, obviously, against the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs, can help on the tight end role. And then when you look defensively, Khalil Mack is still there. You have Bruce Irvin, Jelani Jenkins coming over, Carl Joseph there, Reggie Nelson. This is a defense that has its pieces, an offense that has its pieces, and they are primed to, I'm going to go ahead and say it, they're either going to be the wild card this year or they will compete with the Chiefs for the AFC West crown this year.
Hot takes
They are
right
going to do it. This is going to be a very competitive Oakland Raider team. And the reason why, it all starts at the top with their head coach, Jack Del Rio, Black Jack Del Rio, and how he sets this team up with the mindset each and every game.
Well, no one is surprised and no one doubts that they're going to be competing and they're going to get in the playoffs. The thing is, they had a great running game. Their passing game was one of the better ones, like I said. They knew how to score points. They knew how to score a lot of points. The problem they had was defense. Defense was letting them down every now and then. Not a ton because, once again, this is one of the best teams in the NFL last year. But when it comes down to the units, that's the unit that wasn't doing that great. That's the unit that would have struggled the most really in the playoffs, even with Derek Carr.
And that's where the two additions that I look at for this defense is, first off, like I mentioned, Jelani Jenkins, adding a guy to be on. He's going to play the weak linebacker position for the outside linebacker. You'll have Irvin on the strong side, Jenkins on the weak side, and then Corey James right there.
But
in
you even
the middle.
look at their draft, and the first thing they do is defense, defense, defense.
Yeah, and I was going to bring up the guy that they selected in the first round, which it's still a question mark because as of right now, we have Jerron Conley went ahead, met with police in early May. They said it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks, so 2 more weeks from where we are right now before that. Well, I should say 2 to 4 more weeks before their investigation is closed on him. That's one where, I mean, people are still saying that could be a risky pick. However, if his name is cleared, that's a steal in the first round for them to add a starting cornerback who can help them in that defensive game. One of the things, and like you said, defense, defense, defense is what they did with their first 3 picks.
Yeah, and it's the thing that they needed the most because everything else is pretty set. I mean, when you can go and pick up a piece in free agency like Marshawn Lynch, you don't get to do that every day. You don't get to get one of the all-stars, one team's
trash, it's another team's treasure, baby.
Yeah, pretty much. And really, if this defense was just a little bit better, this is a team that's kind of a sure thing because they can put up their points, they can run all over you, but then they're going to stop you from scoring as well. That's going to be a huge addition. This Oakland Raiders team right now, they are the hottest team coming into the NFL besides the Patriots. They are the kind of it team this year that everyone's going to be talking about. So if you're sick of hearing about the Oakland Raiders right now, it's only going to get worse from this point forward. But if you're watching this video, I'm sure you like the Oakland Raiders, so you're probably pretty excited to hear them be talked about nonstop.
You want another hot take from me? You want another hot take?
Sure.
For the Oakland Raiders?
Is this one going to be a real hot take?
This could be a real one. There's a solid, I would say a 90% chance, maybe 85% chance, this team starts 6-0 to start the year. The only loss that I see they could get in their first 6 games is the Ravens, depending on how... however the Ravens come out, and B, if they get Jeremy Maclin.
Well, at Tennessee will be tough to start the season.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'll take the Raiders as an early favorite in that one.
Well, I think they're the favorite, but I mean it's a tougher game than people are gonna think. People are gonna overlook the Titans.
But I look at the rest of those. I mean, Washington and the Ravens aren't the easiest, but the Jets should be a win. Denver, I think they can beat. LA should be a win. I mean, to me, their first real toughest game. Thursday night, week 7, going up against KC. And I mean, this team...
the divisional is going to be tough always.
And this team, looking at the schedule, they've got, to me, a easier front half, loaded second half. Like, there's a stretch where New England, and then after that, New York, Kansas City, Dallas. Back to back to back, right away. 1 on the road, 2 at home. Like, this is a team that, if Oakland wants to be successful this year, they got to do their business right away from off the start. Bank those wins in the early season because the back end of their schedule might be a little tough and will really, Eli Manning, Alex Smith, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott. I'll even throw Carson Wentz in there. Those are quarterbacks that are going to test this defense, say, how good have you been in a year?
Yeah.
You made these additions. Let me go ahead and test you.
Yeah, for sure. But, the thing that the Oakland Raiders always have, and one of the big assets they had last year was they'll win in a shootout. You're probably not going to beat the Oakland Raiders in a shootout, especially like Derek Carr and his abilities and his ability to just sling it out there. It's impressive where they haven't necessarily needed the defense to be that great because they can go head-to-head.
And the one thing I want to ask you, I know we mentioned his name, but I want to ask you what you really expect from him Marshawn Lynch. Like, we've mentioned that, hey, they have Marshawn Lynch, and yeah, another team's trash is another team's treasure. But with Marshawn Lynch coming over, you had mentioned, like, you didn't want to say he needs to get into football shape, but he's got to get back from transitioning from being retired.
He's been playing a lot of Madden
to playing.
Lately, yeah.
What are your realistic expectations of Marshawn Lynch?
Well, I definitely expect him to be one of the better running backs in the NFL. But we got to remember a couple things too, is that they have such great passing weapons that they don't need Marshawn Lynch to be Marshawn Lynch of the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. The Seahawks typically were one of the fewest, one of the teams that threw the ball the least in the NFL. That's not the Oakland Raiders game.
They had a defense that would stop you cold, and then they'd run the ball on you all day.
Exactly, and the Oakland Raiders are a team that's going to run the ball quite a bit, but they're going to throw the ball and really just tire your defense out is the name of their game. So you don't expect him to get as much of the game plan dedicated to him. But I definitely think he's going to come out there. He's going to surprise some people. People will probably get really excited. You know, somebody's going to draft him in the first round of your fantasy football league.
I'm saying take him early in fantasy.
I'm saying don't.
Not your number one running back, but depending on where you are when you're thinking about that second running back, I'd go ahead and take him. The main reason
depends what round you're in.
The main reason why is because, and I'm a guy who, if you guys know me from fantasy, I'm a guy who says take your two running backs right away. Number one, number two, first 2 rounds. And the reason why I think so high of Marshawn Lynch is, yes, he's not going to get as much opportunities as he did in Seattle, but he's going to make more of less, I want to say, in Oakland, because they're going to be opening up the running lanes by passing so much. Teams are going to not load the box. And how many times last year did we see Latavius Murray or even Jalen Richard just bust out a long run and go for a touchdown? We've seen that from Marshawn Lynch, could probably do it better than both of those guys. He's going to have less opportunities, but is going to be able to do more because of the
When
offense.
it comes to fantasy, my problem with Marshawn Lynch this coming season is I think that people are going to... I find it very hard to believe he's going to get out of the first round, and I don't think you should draft him in the first round.
No, I'm not saying first round. I say
but that's what I'm saying.
Take your main
He's not
going to
be there.
I would say the highest I would take is second, third round. Second, third round is where I would think about taking him. And take your first running back, and then after you get that first one, you're confident.
You want
him
to be running back number 2,
yeah.
and I'm just saying as a fact he's not going to be there. So
you think that a lot of people are going to take him in the first round?
Oh yeah, he's Marshawn Lynch.
Do you think someone in our league will? I mean,
oh yeah.
Pushing it off to the side, a little conversation about our league. You think someone in our league would bite on Marshawn?
Well, it depends if we go. Depends if we go back to our new style of drafting.
If we do, well, so you guys know the new style we did is each round you had to draft something different. So it could have been quarterback, could have been wide receiver, could have been. I loved it.
I've been talking about that style of drafting for years, and I finally got someone convinced to do it.
And the order changed each round. So like there was one guy in our league, he mapped out the average. He had the average of the 10th pick each time.
He got screwed.
He got screwed with picking out of the hat. But with this team, Marshawn Lynch, I think, like you said, he's going to have less opportunities with this Raider team. But I think because of the offense, he's going to be able to do more with less. And with Derek Carr, I think that I don't want to say that Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson is an amazing quarterback, but at the same time, I think that Derek Carr, because of how different he is from Russell Wilson, will be able to open up the passing lanes more than a Russell Wilson was able to, because that Seahawk team was a little bit more dedicated to the run than the pass.
Although Marshawn Lynch had the advantage of Russell Wilson always being the
I'm going to scramble in the backfield.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see the way that Oakland utilizes him compared to the way he was used in Seattle. But really, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter, because this team's going to be one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm saying it. This team is going to seriously compete with the Kansas City Chiefs for the division. But this is where you guys come in. Oakland Raider fans, let us know what you guys think of your team heading into 2017 down below in the comment section.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and don't worry, there is plenty more where that came from. You guys can check it out right over here. click that video, start watching it, and just stick around on Most Valuable Podcasts.